Hi, and welcome to another video on object-oriented programming in C#. With me, Marinas Toman. Okay, so in this video we're going to look at strings in C#. So strings are just basically strings of characters. So they're used for storing text. A string as a variable contains a collection of characters surrounded by double quotes. So we can see here string greeting is the name of the variable, and then equals start a double quotes, and then put in our string of characters, and then end double quotes. A string can contain as many words as you want, and each space in a string counts as a character. One of the good things about strings is we can get the length of the property. So a string is basically just like an array of characters, so we can check the length property of an array. So in this example here, we could have, this is like the whole alphabet. We could try and see what is the length of the alphabet, and it is of course 26. But if we, let's say, put in some spaces in here, okay, so put in 2 spaces, you can see now it's 28, because the spaces actually they count as a character as well. So the string is a class itself, so we can do like in this example we're doing dot length just to check the property of the string. So they have different properties, but there's also methods because string is a class itself. So there's some common methods that we can use, like for example toUpper and toLower, which just returns a copy of the string converted to uppercase or lowercase. So in the previous video we talked about methods. In the string class there's just a method that will basically look at the string that you have set here, and then on that object it'll take in, it has a method that takes in no parameters, and it'll just convert everything to uppercase. So this will be the output here to this input. And then if we done toLower, that could just be a method that basically lowers all of the puts everything to lowercase. Okay, so if we go to Microsoft themselves, you can see they'll give you a list of all of the different methods, and there's things like how to determine whether a string represents a numeric value and how to convert strings. If we go down, you can see things like string escape sequences. So if you need to have a single quote in a sentence, you need to put this escape sequence before that. How to format strings, how to string interpolation. This is good because what you can do is you can put, so let's say we've got variables here, string variables. You can just put placeholders in with the variable name, and what this will do is, so say this one jh.firstname, this will put in Jupiter in that place, and then last name will be Hammond. So these could be this data could be variable, it could change all the time, so these messages would change depending on how the data changes. So strings are really handy. There's things as well like substrings. We can start parsing strings, we can divide them up, we can get words within strings, and say if a string was a sentence, we could get substrings, we could pull out all of the words out of that sentence. For example, or you can access individual characters, because an array or a string is just an array of characters, so we can pull out one character at a time. If we wanted, we could loop through the whole string and pull out maybe all of the H's, or whatever. We could do whatever we want with it. So if you go over to Microsoft, and just look through, they basically, again, they're brilliant with the examples. So they take you through, loads of different examples. So we look at concatenating strings. So this is really easy enough. We've seen this in previous videos where you can just get two strings and you can stick them together or concatenate them into a larger string just using the plus operator. There's also a method to do this from the string class, a static method. So you just need the name of the class dot name of the method, and then passing in your two strings, and it will return a new string that basically just sticks these two together. So concatenation is a way that we can, so if we're parsing, if we're dividing up, if we have substrings, what we can do is we can start to build larger strings. So if we had a load of different words, we could start to build a sentence by sticking them all together. So just remember that C# uses this operator for both addition and concatenation. So if it sees that these are strings here, it's just going to jam the two of them together, basically stick them together. But if it recognizes that these are just integers, it's going to add these two numbers together, so it's going to actually add them. So just be careful between adding numbers and strings. That's an example, just adding integers, and then if we added this here, that would actually just give you these characters, because it would just stick 20 onto 10, or the characters 20. It wouldn't be the number. Okay, so hopefully that's kind of a novice mistake, and you won't make that one too much. So interpolation, this is really going to be a good one, especially when we're printing things out to line. We're trying to print stuff out to the console. So what you can do is, let's say these are variables somewhere up in the program. You might take these in from the user maybe or something, and then you can just pass these out in curly braces, and basically when you have the $sign at the start here, what you're saying is just interpolate this. So this is string interpolation method, and that's pretty standard, so sometimes you wouldn't even save this all into a variable. You might just see this whole thing within these brackets, just printed straight out to the line. So this is a common one. When you see these curly brackets, it might look a bit scary, and you might think what's going on here, but it's actually just, these are just placeholders, and whenever at runtime it's going to open these variables and just place in whatever, replace them with whatever's inside, whatever the value is. So that's interpolation. That's pretty good and handy method to know in strings. So you can access characters in a string then by just referencing the index. So let's say, for example, just hello is our string. Well, because this is just an array of characters, what we can do is we can access it like we could access a normal array. Just open the square brackets, name of the array, open the square brackets, and then the index. So all of our arrays in C# is the same as Java. The first index begins at 0. So the output of this would be H. It would be the very first character. So if you had 1 in here, it would output lowercase e. So yeah, as they show here. So you can also check. This is also a really handy method that you might use sometimes. So you can check the index position of a specific character. So let's say, for example, we want to check where is the e, what index is e at in this string, and what it's going to do is it's going to return the index, so that'll just return 1. So the thing about index of it usually returns just the first instance of a string. So let's say you had ELL in here. Yeah, it would find that. But if this was ELL and then there was ELL again over here, it what it's going to do is, yeah, it's going to just return the first instance. So check the index of a specific character, and that's a really handy one for us to know. So another useful one is substring. This is when we need to parse up our strings, start to divide them into smaller strings. So this extracts a string of characters from a string, stating from specified character position. So it'll just start from a specified character, and then you usually give it just the starting position, and it will go right to the end. Or there's an overloaded method where it gives you a substring. You can put in the start index and the end index, and it will just give you that whole string then. So again, you come over to Microsoft themselves and find out more about all of these methods and some of the things that you can do. So yeah, special characters, like I said, there's a couple of times when let's say in this example we want to have quotes inside the string. So we want to have quotes around Vikings. Well, what's going to happen with the compiler is it's going to actually end this string that started here as soon as it sees quotes again, and then it's going to open a new string here. So this is going to be an error. This is just going to be hanging out. It's not going to know what to do with these characters. So what you need to do is put in this escape character. So it's pretty much the same, it's just the backslash. For these are the most common ones. If you need an apostrophe, if you need a single quote, a double quote, or a backslash, then you'll need to use a backslash and then the apostrophe. Okay, so this basically, what's happening now is it says after this, ignore this is part of the string, and same here, after this just ignore that's part of the string. So when this string opens at these double quotes, it doesn't actually close to these double quotes, because it's just that's why it's called escape. It's just escaping these characters. Yeah, so it's the same, that's why you'll see these sometimes in strings when you need like an apostrophe or something. We have other things, where you can use, \n will just print onto a new line. So let's say, you have a string, and when you want to output it, you want to show maybe this part of it on a new line, or you want to tab things out, or backspace, or whatever. Again, this is only a few of them. You can check over with Microsoft themselves, and check their language reference and the documentation. Okay, that's everything for strings. Okay, so that's everything for the video. Thanks for watching.